Park Studies 2059, um, Paper 1, History, and source-based questions, mostly 3 marks. Source A, an excerpt from Encyclopedia British, Britannica, Britannica, not British, Britannica. The Mughal dynasty was notable for its more than 2 centuries of effective rule over much of India, for the ability of its ruler, uh, who through 7 generations maintained a record of unusual talent, and for its administrative organization. Further distinction was the attempt of the Mughals to integrate Hindus and Muslims into united Indian state. According to source A, what do you learn about the Mughal rule in India? 3 marks. Answer. The source describes the Mughals as a successful dynasty that ruled effectively for more than 2 centuries. Its rulers capably maintained their talent through 7 generations. The rulers attempted to unify Hindus and Muslims as equal members of a single state. Source B, a portrait showing a scene of the Mughal court during its peak. Question B, with reference to source B, and describe the Mughal rule in India. 5 marks. Answer. The Mughal king is shown as the focal point of the painting that shows his strong grip over the state affairs. There are two countries. There are two courtiers standing at the entrance of the corridor leading to the royal throne. This shows the authority of the emperor, who can be approached only by way of the two courtiers. Any guest would be escorted by the same courtiers to the emperor. There are several other courtiers on either side of the court, all formally dressed and standing alert. The entire courtroom is well decorated, that reflects the lavish style of living of the Mughals. This way of living would become one of the reasons for the decline of the Mughal rule. Source A, an excerpt from the Memoirs of a British author. In 1615, Thomas Roe finally arrived in Ajmer, bringing presents of hunting dogs, some Mannerist paintings, and many crates of red wine, for which Jahangir had a fondness. Roe nevertheless had a series of difficult interviews by Jahangir. Roe wanted immediately to raise the subject of trade, but the emperor could barely cancel his boredom at such conversations. Question A, according to source A, describe what Thomas Roe observed in Jahangir's court. Answer. 3 marks. Answer. Thomas Roe knew about Jahangir's love for red wine. He felt Jahangir could not be convinced to listen to a European visitor. Jahangir made him wait for a long time before Roe could tell the purpose of his visit. Source B, a painting showing a British diplomat, Thomas Roe, appearing before the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. Question B, From source B, what do we learn about the interaction between the Mughal emperor and the British diplomat? 5 marks. Answer. The Emperor Jahangir seems to dominate the scene as he is seated on an elevated throne. This shows his powerful rule over India. Thomas Doe is well dressed that reflects his preparation so far appearing in the royal court. He looks quite submissive as he is presenting a document in a humble way. Our senior courtier is reading out the text of the document, perhaps acting as a translator. The document looks to be a formal request for starting trade with India. Jahan gives permission to the British to initiate a trade with India and would lay the foundation of the British rule over India in the years to come. Source A. Fort William, Calcutta, 1756. On the evening of 20 June, some 64 prisoners, including 2 women and several wounded soldiers, were marched at sword point to the filthy dungeon at Fort William. This was a little cell measuring 18 feet and 14 feet 10 inches, designed for no more than 3 petty criminals. The heat at this time of year was suffocating. Prisoners trampled on each other to get nearer one of the 2 tiny windows, or to the small amount of water they had been left. Their quarters mocked them as the prisoners gasped for air and pleaded for mercy. At 6 a.m. the next morning, when the door was opened, dead bodies were piled up inside. Adapted from an essay in History Today 2006. Question A. According to source A, why did 10 people die at Fort William in 1756? 3 marks. Answer. Several troops died as they were already wounded. They were trapped in a very small cell with poor ventilation and scorching heat of summer. They desperately struggled to reach out for fresh air and water for survival. In the panic way, in the panic, many were trampled and crushed to death. The guards on duty remained oblivious to the misery of the prisoners. Source B. Famine in the subcontinent. Source B. Famine in the subcontinent. A print of a contemporary evening showing the distribution of relief. Question. What can we learn from source B about famine in the subcontinent during British control? 5 marks. Answers. Physical condition of the afflicted people shows that the famine has been there for a long time. Their bodies have been reduced to skeleton with poor clothing and bare feet. They look quite weak due to the effects of a prolonged state of malnutrition. The man distributing the food also carries visible effects of the famine. Victims of this disaster include men, women, and children who are eagerly waiting for food and relief. The man in the bowler that seems to be a government official appointed by the British government to supervise the relief operation. Despite an organized effort to help the affected population, the British would have to face fierce opposition by the Indians, especially the people of Bengal. Source A. The British claim that Tipu was a Muslim fanatic and considered himself as the wisest man. In fact, Tipu made offerings in Christian churches and Hindu temples of his loyal subjects. He only destroyed the places of worship of his enemies. Question A. According to source A, what type of man Tipu Sultan was? 3 marks. Answer. The source presents Tipu as a mix of opposites. He is shown as an intolerant Muslim ruler who did not show respect unto his non-Muslim subjects. However, at the same time, the source portrays him as a skilled ruler who knew how to treat his loyal non-Muslim subjects while punishing those who created problems for him. Source B are photographs showing Tipu Sultan fighting the EIC army. Describe the scene of the battlement. The source shows that a fierce fight is going on between the two armies. Several soldiers of Tipu's army have been killed or wounded as they are seen lying on the ground. The British, on the other hand, look visibly dominant with hardly any major losses, and this is due to their superior weapons and better fighting skills. Tipu's army is fighting with the outdated weapons like swords, spears, and shields, and this would contribute to his defeat. Tipu's crown, wa- Tipu's crown has fallen on the ground, and that means the battle has entered its decisive phase. The British victory in this battle would strengthen their control over southern India. Source A. There are few figures in history as controversial as Robert Clive. Some people described him as a soldier of initiative courage and determination. Other people saw him as reckless and unprincipled, a rebel expelled from several schools for bad behavior. They said his victories as Arcot, Calcutta, and Plassey were all the results of lucky gambles, and that put his men in unnecessary danger. It has also said that Clive used tactics that were sly and against the accepted course of battle. Clive was also described as cruel, lacking in morality, and greedy for personal wealth. Question A. According to source A, what were the personal characteristics of Robert Clive? 3 marks. Answer. Robert Clive has been described as a mix of contradictory characteristics. He is considered by some as a brave soldier, possessing courage and determination. At the same time, he is viewed as a man of good luck who won battles of Arcot, Calcutta, and Plassey as a result of his successful gambling. He is also viewed as a greedy and a cruel man who used undesirable means to achieve his objects. Source B. A painting of Lieutenant General Lord Cornwallis receiving the Masurian hostages princes after the Third War at Seringapatam in 1792 by Robert Home, Century 1793. Question B. What can we learn from source B about the treatment of Indian hostages during the Mysore Wars? 5 marks. Answer B. This looks like a special public ceremony organized by the EIC as various volunteers to people are standing in their assigned places. They are perceiving the hostages, Tipu's sons, in a very formal way to show the interaction between the British and the Indian Sultan of Mysore. Lord Cornwallis is holding the hand of one of Tipu's sons to convey message to Tipu to fulfill the terms of the treaty agreed upon the two. The painting portrays Cornwallis and his army as gentle and kind, though no details are known about how the hostages were treated. The hostages might have been kept in an undignified environment. Tipu would be defeated and killed in his last battle in 1799, fighting against Lord Wellesley. Source A. An excerpt from the Maratha Empire from the Internet link. The Maratha Empire was a power that dominated a large portion of the Indian subcontinent in the 18th century. The empire formally existed from 1674 with the coronation of Shivaji as the Chhatrapati and ended in 1818 with the defeat of Peshwa Bajirao II at the hands of the British East India Company. The Marathas are credited to a large extent for ending Mughal rule over most of the Indian subcontinent. Question A. According to source A, what information to get about the Marathas? 3 marks. Answer. The Marathans established their empire over a vast part of India. Their rule began with the coronation of Shivaji in 1674 and ended by the British in 1818. They contributed to the end of Mughal rule in several parts of India. Source B. A painting of the Second Anglo-Maratha War 1803 to 1805. Question B. From source B, what do we learn about the combatants? 5 marks. Answer. The British troops seem to be making rapid advances against the Marathas as their cavalry and foot soldiers are pressing their rivals hard. This is due to a much more disciplined British army with more destructive weapons. There are thick clouds hovering over the sky that might have benefited the British as they were familiar with the art of successful fight in rainy season. Many Marathas are lying dead or wounded on the ground that reflects their defeat is imminent. However, the Maratha flag is still prominent that shows their strong determination to resist the British. The Marathon threat who finally be eliminated by the British in 1818. Source A. While it is true that large numbers of European permanent children were murdered with great brutality, some of the stories have been exaggerated. The British forces felt that every male Indian capable of carrying weapons was guilty of such crimes. Therefore, they adopted a punitive attitude towards all Indians after the war. Mass hangings were carried out publicly, and at many places the dead were stitched in the pig's skin. What does source A, an extract from the book of a British historian, tell us about the British feelings after the war? 3 marks. Answer. According to source, the British authorities were looking for an excuse to punish the Indians, and they began to penalize Indians in an indiscriminate way, even though all Indians might not have participated in the tragic events of targeting the unarmed British families. They developed strong feelings of revenge and resentment against the Indians and decided to teach them horrible lessons. Question B. According to the source B, a photograph of the events of the War of Independence describes the scene of the battlefield. 5 marks. Answer. This seems to be the initial phase of the war. Indian rebels carrying traditional weapons are shown in a very hostile mood that is a result of cumulative anger against the British. They are attacking a British soldier officer who is desperately trying to defend himself while his wife and children seem to have been killed. This means rebels did not spare even the British women and children. Some other British soldiers can also be seen lying on the ground. That means the rebels have put them on the defensive. Indians are shown to be foolish, spirited, and are ready to kill as many British as they can. Despite this, the British would emerge victorious and punish several Indians after the war. Source-based questions. Source A statement of Shah Waliullah. It took many years to cleanse Arabia of its false idols. It will take many more to cleanse Islam of its new false idols. Sectarianism, bigotry, fanaticism, and ignorance, worshipped by those who have replaced Prophet Muhammad (SAW), peace be upon him, original vision of tolerance and unity with their own ideals of hatred and discord. But the cleansing is inevitable and the tide of reform cannot be stopped. Question A. With the help of source A, describe the mission of Shawaliullah. 3 marks. Answer. Hazrat Shah Waliullah is expressing his resolve to eradicate the new false idols of divide and ignorance, sectarianism divide, sorry, idols of sectarian divide and ignorance among Indian Muslims. These, according to him, are the modernized version of idols worshipped in the times of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. He wants to restore the original vision of tolerance and unity preached by the Holy Prophet. Source B. A portrait of Shah Waliullah. Question B. What does source B tell us about Shah Waliullah? 5 marks. Answer. The source shows Shah Waliullah dressed in an Arab Islamic outfit, a gown worn over a traditional kurta. This reflects his attachment with Islamic traditions and culture. This also reflects his mission to convince the Muslims to follow the Sunnah of the Prophet. He seems lost in thoughts, perhaps planning his writing in view of the declining condition of the Muslims in India. There are many voluminous books spread on his study table that shows his keen interest in reading and writing. The manuscript before him looks to be an incompletely written work. Hazrat Shah Waliullah would leave a huge team of his followers and the books as a legacy of his mission. Source A statement of Sayyid Ahmad Shahid Brelvi, taken from one of his letters written to Nawab Waziruddin of Tonk. Believe me, the person who sincerely confesses to my position is special in the eyes of God, and the one who denies it is, of course, sinful. My opponents who deny my of this opinion will be humiliated and disregarded, disgraced. Source A. According to Source A, what are the ambitions of Sayyid Ahmad Shahid Brelvi? 3 marks. Sayyid Ahmad is marrying the Nawab of God's special rewarded for those who acknowledged his authority as a leader. He is declaring those as sinful who denied his position. He is predicting the humiliation and disgrace of those who did not do so. Source B. A scene of the Battle of Balakot, May 1831. Question B. I describe the scene of the battlefield. 5 marks. Answer. The battle is being fought in the hilly areas of Balakot near Abbottabad. The army of the Mujahideen seems to have been ambushed and taken by surprise. To make their attack decisive, the Sikh forces of Ranjit Singh have burnt the uh, hastily built huts of the Mujahideen. The attack of the Sikh army, coupled with a much larger number of troops, has put the Mujahideen on the defensive. Most of them have fallen on the ground, making it easier for their enemies to overpower them. The professionally trained Sikh troops riding on their horses, therefore, are able to defeat the Mujahideen and kill their leader Sayyid Ahmad Shahid Brele. Despite this, the Jihad movement would become a forerunner of Pakistan movement as both were aimed at liberating the Muslim majority areas from the non-Muslim rule. Source A description of Haji Shariatullah's mission about the poor Bengali Muslims. While traveling extensively in Bengal, he saw the woes of Muslim peasants and artists and artisans inhumanly exploited by the Hindu zemindars and Maharajas, moneylenders. This led to his commitment to liberate the people from these problems through the path of revolution. He garnered support from farmers, artisans, and the people from different classes. He successfully launched a campaign called the Farisi Movement. Question A. What does source A tell us about the feelings of Haji Shariatullah? 3 marks. Haji Shariatullah was moved by the pitiable condition of Muslim peasants and artisans. He was worried about their inhuman exploitation by the rich Hindu zemindars and moneylenders. He sought support of farmers and other people and founded his Farisi movement. Source B, a poster of a movie made on Haji Shariatullah. Q. Question B. What does Source B tell us about the ambitions of Haji Shariatullah during the 19th century in East Bengal? 5 marks. Answer. The source shows the actor playing the role of Haji Shriatullah. The red turban on the head of Haji Shriatullah conveys a meaningful message. It represents his aim of bringing about a revolutionary change in the lives of Bengali Muslims. The firm determination on his face reflects his resolve and to resist any oppressors exploiting the poor Bengali Muslim peasants. He is being warned, perhaps by a soldier of the British standing behind him. This means the local authorities have taken notice of Haji Shritullah's efforts of creating awareness among Bengali Muslims. In the background, another British officer is riding a horse, while next to him, a Hindu, probably a Zimidar, is standing with a worried look. Haji Shriatullah's mission laid a foundation of political awareness among Bengali Muslims.